Colleagues, I rise today to speak on the motion before us, which would authorize the Standing Senate Committee on Transport and Communications to conduct a pre-study of Bill C-11. My comments today are quite brief. Bill C-11, sometimes called the Online Streaming Act, is a substantial bill that will essentially take the regulatory framework we now have over broadcasting and will apply it to online undertakings. Numerous stakeholders and interests are involved, including cultural producers and creators, the legacy broadcasters in television and radio, online streamers, social media platforms, and many others. Many of us will remember this bill's predecessor, C-10. That bill was referred to the House Committee on Canadian Heritage for pre-study on February the 1st and regular study on February the 19th of last year. And that committee held 30 meetings before returning the bill to the House for third reading in mid-June. Over those 4 months, that committee heard from numerous witnesses and proposed many amendments. The process involved significant debate of the issues, but also contentious, messy, and overly political. Indeed, significant changes to the bill were introduced late in that process at clause-by-clause consideration. Unfortunately, it was too late to call any witnesses representing those interests that were materially affected by those changes. That bill then made its way to our chamber and completed second reading and was referred to our Senate Committee on Transport and Communications on June the 29th of last year. My ISG colleagues on the committee and I were willing to work over last summer to examine the bill in committee in response to the expressed urgency to pass this bill, but that offer was not taken up. As a result, the Senate conducted no committee work on that bill, which died on the order paper when the election was called. Its successor, C-11, has now completed second reading and has just been referred to committee in the other place. That committee held 2 meetings this week, but has not yet taken up C-11. We have on the table a motion to send this bill to Senate committee for a pre-study. I have serious concerns about this. In my view, a pre-study is not a substitute for a proper Senate study of a bill. Over the last few weeks, Senate committees have been engaged in pre-studies of a number of bills, including Bills S6 and C-19, and I have been part of some of these deliberations. I offer some of my observations about this process. First, the participants have been excellent. The committee chairs have done an excellent job. The witnesses have made solid arguments regarding the bills on the table. Staff have worked hard, and senators have asked pertinent questions. However, in my view, the process has been unsatisfactory. Typically, government witnesses present the bill and take questions, followed by other witnesses who offer a critique of the bill or propose changes to it. In some cases, their suggestions for change cannot be adequately assessed. We want to know, are they practical changes? Do they fit with the goals of the bill? Are they doable? Are they a good idea? These questions come up after these witnesses testify, but often these questions remain unanswered in this process, and that is what I have observed. And in some cases, so often there are time limitations to this process, and that is one of the reasons why some of these questions cannot be assessed. But in other cases, proposed changes from witnesses that do seem desirable cannot become amendments to this bill because this is not possible with our pre-studies. So my concern with C-11 is that I fear that we will be doomed to this inadequate process and its shortcomings. and that we will not conduct a proper investigation that we need on C-11. And we have no assurances that a regular committee study would follow from our pre-study. With C-11, the ideal process, in my view, would be for us to take into account all the learnings from the House of Commons Committee and their proceedings and their report and build from there. Let's look at their witnesses, let's look at the issues arising from their work, at the arguments that have been made, and let's go forward from there. Of course, amendments may result from their process as well, which a pre-study here would not have and therefore could not consider. We wouldn't have them in a timely fashion, and therefore we couldn't consider them. Remember back to C-10, and remember that that bill was significantly changed very late in their process. Colleagues, during the pandemic over the past couple of years, the number of our Senate sittings were cut back dramatically. Our scrutiny of legislation was reduced, with minimal review of so much legislation, and our committee work was curtailed. I look forward to returning to a better and more thorough process as we go forward. But in the end, colleagues, when it comes to C-11, I am looking for assurances that a regular committee review process will take place. Even if a pre-study is undertaken, we should and we must commit to this. If committees are indeed the masters of our fate, as we learned yesterday, I will be seeking the views of committee colleagues over the next several days, and I will be seeking their commitment and looking for their commitment to a fulsome process. But there's more than just that as well. We do need assurances that the committee will have the time it needs to do its work. When I hear about the urgent need to pass a bill, I can't help but wonder whether we really will have this time to review this bill. If we keep hearing about the urgent need, it most certainly raises questions about whether we are going to be given the time. Colleagues, let's do this properly. Thank you very much.
Senator Go.
Would the senator take a question?
Yes.
Thank you. And I will get to my question because though I do want to remind colleagues that in my remarks, in my speech, as in that of Senator St. Germain, we made it clear that this does not preclude all stages of inquiry, which the Senate will decide on. But, Senator, during the debates in this chamber on Bill C-10, there was much criticism of the proposed legislation and dare I say, much misinformation. But all of that aside, I'm confused as to why initiating a pre-study on Bill C-11, proposed legislation that purports to address the criticism of the previous iteration, C-10, why this is somehow unacceptable. The major complaint that we have heard, and even in your remarks, colleague, which I appreciate, thank you, is for the lack of time that we have to do our work properly. The motion here is offering time, and it's offering time free of any reporting deadlines or free of any procedural constraints. So whether we receive the bill on day one or in week one after, or week two after a pre-study has begun, we'll be ahead of the game. And that doesn't prevent us from doing our work, including all the stages thereafter once we do receive the bill. So what am I missing here?
Senator Dasko.
Thank you, Senator Gold. Well, in my view of this process, I feel it's a lesser process. And from what I've observed, it doesn't feel like it's a thorough process. It seems to be truncated, in my observation, and it also doesn't allow us to make amendments. So, from what I've observed, I think the process I feel that it's lacking. And now I know that you have given some assurances of time. But at the same time, Senator, yesterday you did talk about the absolute need and the pressures coming from various communities. I understand that there is pressure. I live in Toronto. The cultural community in Toronto is very supportive of this bill. They want this to go forward. You know, when June comes, and it's just around the corner, we always get this feeling of pressure to pass bills. And what I fear is this, you know, we've got this pre-study coming down the track, and then we've got the end of June coming here, and they end up sort of colliding with each other, and then we end up getting pressured to pass a bill. And in this case, I worry that we will be in this process that doesn't allow us to examine it the way I feel it should be, especially given the uncertainties that are over there in the other place and what they're going to do and what sort of amendments and changes they may come up with. The last time this happened, it was really a rather a mess, and I think you certainly would remember from last year what happened in their committee, all of the amendments. They were rejected by their speaker. They had to go back, and it truly was a mess. So that is where I am coming from in my concerns, is this coming along this track. End of June is there. We know what June is like, and you yourself have said that there is urgency to get this bill passed because of the various stakeholders and so on who are involved. So this all leaves me just a little bit suspicious. So that's where I'm coming from. Thank you.
Senator Go.
Thank you. If I may ask a supplementary question, though. As all senators know, by definition, pre-studies do not allow for amendments, and that's in the nature of a pre-study. But, Senator, given that there is no reporting deadline on this, that it is not a truncated process, that the pre-study can continue even after the bill is received, whenever that is received, is it not the case that, suspicions aside and calendar aside, that the representative of the government has stood in this place and said on many occasions outside this that I understand and respect the importance of the Senate doing its job properly, and that this is a motion to expand the time that we have to get acquainted with the changes that C-11 has introduced to C-10, such that when we do arrive to receive the bill, the committee is even better prepared to engage in the study that it will take. And again, the Senate will determine what stages the bill will go through, and the committee will determine how long it needs to study it, and so on and so forth. So would you acknowledge, suspicions notwithstanding, that what is before us is in fact a reasonable approach for the Senate to tackle an important issue of public policy?
Senator Dasko, you have one minute and a half, and we still have 3 senators that wishes to ask you a question.
Senator Gold, I appreciate your comments very much. Thank you very much for reiterating the issues around time. That's very important, I think, for our consideration. Just to go back to the comment that you made yesterday and that I put into my comments today, with regard to the Senate, with regard to committees being the masters of their fate. I intend over the next week or so to be in contact with my colleagues on that committee to, let's say, do a poll of their views with respect to the importance of making sure that we have this what I would call the real process of review through the study, and so that is what I intend to do, and then hopefully we can be satisfied that we're going to get what I would hope that we would have, fulsome review, and I thank you for your comments. Much appreciated.
Senator Dasko, we have 2 more senators that wish to ask you a question. Do you want 5 additional minutes?
Sorry, Madam Speaker, I didn't hear what you said. I'll have to put this on.
You're out of time in regards to possible questions. Are you requesting 5 more minutes to answer questions from at least 2 senators right now?
Yes.
Is leave agreed? Time agreed? So, Senator Platt.
Thank you. I will take a page out of Senator Delfon's way of asking questions, and clearly Senator Gold's putting statements out rather than questions. So let me do that as well, Senator Dasko. Thank you very much for your speech. If we pass this particular motion, it will be passed in all likelihood not before Tuesday of next week, which is the 31st of May. Clearly, the Transport and Communications Committee, the very first time they would possibly be able to meet just to organize would be the 1st of June, which is their slot, I believe, for their committees. That leaves us exactly 4 meetings if we go till the very end of June. I think you said that in the iteration of this bill, C-10, there had been 30 committee meetings in the other place. Now the leader of the government is asking us to do a pre-study and try to rush this through. And he says he has no reporting deadline. Well, clearly there should be no reporting deadline because there won't be time for a pre-study, a regular study, or anything without us not doing our proper due diligence that clearly this bill will deserve. We have no indication of when it is coming here. So I would suggest, I'm doing this the way your colleague did, Senator Gagne, and I'm just encouraging her to agree with me. Would you agree, Senator Dasko, that there is simply no adequate time to do proper service, proper justice to this bill?
Senator Dasko?
Thank you, Senator. Well, yes, I think if we all look at the calendar, we would come to this conclusion. And I have to take Senator Gold I thank him for his comments with respect to there being no time limit on this. And obviously, this would seem to take us well into another season, whether that be summer. I don't know if we're planning to sit then, I doubt it, but probably into September. I mean, that seems to be logical, yeah. So that would seem to be a logical time frame for looking at this bill. I'm pretty sure that we need much more than the number of meetings you just referenced, 4 meetings. I'm quite sure that our committee needs more time than that to look at this bill. Thank you.
Senator Housakos.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senator Dasko, I thank you for your comments. And I ask a question because I'm looking for somebody to answer the question. This is an important issue, C-11. It is something that hasn't been addressed by successive governments now in over 25 years. Why is an public interest? Why is it that this hasn't been presented to us by this government in the last 7 years? The last time we heard about it, going through right now, it was the end of last May, early June. We were sort of forced to sort of push this through as quickly as possible. I agree this is an important issue, and we all agree it requires a robust, thorough debate and review. So what would be the urgency, the public interest urgency, to get this done in a matter of 2-3 weeks, come hell or high water?
Senator Dasko.
Well, thank you, Senator. You know, these questions I'm not the person to answer questions about the timing of the bill. I think you should address your questions to the government representative, and I think maybe you'll get some good answers there. But let me put you on notice, Senator. I'll be contacting you to discuss this issue with you in the coming days. So thank you very much, and you'll be getting a call from me. Thank you.